This is Shutters Inc. with Bruce Williams and Glynn Lavender.
I better find out what episode we're up to.
We're up to the episode we're up to, and welcome everybody.
558.
That one too. That's your intro right there. You've done it already. Next. just keep going, Bruce. Just go, work your way through it. You don't have to do an intro.
And you don't
have to do that. You've already said the number, and I've said hello. What more do we need?
Bruce Williams
just
from ShuttersIncPodcast.com.
Just Bruce. Jeez, you're so anal retentive. Just, live wild for once. No intro. Straight in there.
And
Shock
that
balloon
there was
daylights out
Mr.
of them.
Glynn Lavender from creativephotoworkshops.com.au.
I can see all these people hit the rewind. Did I miss a bit? Did I miss the entrance? Did I miss the beginning? Rewind.
Fantastic.
What?
How have you been?
Yeah, all right. I suppose. Yeah. Above ground. Yeah.
That's always a good thing.
It's a good start. Nothing else. Damn good start. It's a mighty fine start, you might even say,
Someone at work today said to me, "How you going?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, any day above ground's a good day." And what did he say to me? Warm and vertical.
Yeah, unless you're a gold miner. In the mines, because a good day underground could be finding a $10,000 nugget.
That's true.
It'd be a good. It's all relative, I guess, isn't it? And
That's it.
If you're a mole, you don't. Any day above ground's a bad day.
Yeah, that's it.
It's all about perspective.
That's right. So what have you been up to in the last 3 weeks?
Dredging up old photos that I've never shown before and making people look at them.
Nice.
Pretty much. Been out shooting the footy a couple of times.
Yeah, cool.
And that's
that must start soon. Like pre-season must start.
I think it's like, there's your dog in the background. Little bastard wouldn't come out before. Now he's there. Look at that. See, if we did this on video, people would know what I'm talking about.
That's right.
I think it's 29 days till the official season starts, and pre-season practice games start next week. So
I was going to say it's within the next week. So
next week the first practice games are up and at 'em. So me and your team, another fight for the bottom.
That's it.
It's a race to see who can be the worst.
That's it.
I've got hopes this year, Bruce. I think we can do it. I think we lost last year after losing 20 straight games by accidentally winning at the end and beating and being one up on you.
Yeah.
But I think this year we might have a chance to beat you by being worse.
Excellent.
But mind you guys have got so many injuries still. It's crazy. So.
I haven't.
You're a whole team. Just I think the sun comes out and the heat gets to them. They kind of melt.
Right.
And the injuries you guys have had the last 3 years have been. What you need is Taylor Swift on your side. That seems to help teams.
That's what we need.
Get a bit of Tay-Tay action over to your side of the world.
That's it.
Yeah, she's in town. I think she arrived in Melbourne last night.
Yep.
I think.
Yep.
Yes, I could have a quick sneaky word with her. Could she pop over to the West Coast and G the boys up? I'm sure she'd do that.
I'm sure
she's obviously into football.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it'd be good for her ratings because I'm sure she needs it. Yeah. It's the amount of I've seen all these people on the internet going about, she's only going to the NFL games to try and boost her own ratings so she can sell more tickets. I'm going, are you kidding? You kidding me?
Like she's struggling?
She's the world's richest ever tour, and she could have probably sold it 10 times the volume that no one would ever be able to. Melbourne alone, I think she's playing to 220,000 people in 2 days.
Right.
And she could have sold 5 or 10 more concerts here. Right, so she could have played to 1 million people here in a week, and the problem is people flying from Singapore and New Zealand, and also so it's not just for Sydney folk. It's reduced, and all the corporate stuff and everything else.
Well, we were just hearing today the Premier of Victoria saying that the tourism dollar that will come into the state of Victoria over the next 48 hours is something like what they normally get in a year or something. It's just crazy. Yeah, astounding stuff. So I mean, it's quite a phenomenon. Welcome to the Tay-Tay episode, by the way, everyone. That's it.
It is quite a phenomenon. But I would say all power to her. Good on her.
Absolutely.
I've watched a couple of documentaries that she's put out and watched her songwriting process and the way she does stuff and the way she controls her business. She's a power woman. And the fact that she's re-recording all her albums.
Well, not all of them, just the ones that were controlled by
she had no
machine.
Control.
Yeah.
So I think that's an incredibly ballsy move to do, and never seen anywhere in the history of music that I've ever seen. And
basically all of the record companies have now put clauses in place to stop other artists from ever doing that. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
In retrospect, but it's too late for some people, though, isn't it? Yeah. But it's a powerful thing. It's a good on them.
The best part of that whole story is just how she screwed the investment guys who bought her back catalogue thinking that they would be able to milk it. And because her fan base is so loyal, her fan base will now only buy and stream the Taylor's versions of those recordings. So the old recordings are now worthless.
It's great.
So,
I love a bit of people power.
That's it.
We haven't got much, but we can do a little bit.
That's it.
And what have you been doing the last couple of weeks? Anything exciting? I've seen you've been out doing some outside recording. Was that correct? Some outside audio recording with some in a tent somewhere?
Outside? Oh, I did an outside broadcast. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the same thing.
No, I know. I had to remember what it was. I had to remember what it was you were talking about. Our drive presenter wanted to go and do an OB from the Stockton Park Run. That's an outside broadcast.
Outside broadcast for those...
and so it falls on me to take that out and set it all up and make sure the lines are working, and I then panel it, control levels and all that sort of stuff. So did that. I've been taking photos and I can't think what the photos were of. What did I shoot?
Must have been
What did I shoot? Oh, I shot a natural light portrait today for one of our journos because she needed a new profile pic to be sent to the local newspaper, believe it or not. There's still a newspaper in Newcastle. They were going to reuse her profile pic from 11 years ago, and she said, no, I've changed a little bit since then. And it just so happened that I had my camera at work today, and so she said, would you mind shooting a new portrait for me? And I went, yeah, absolutely. So we did a quick scout around. The lighting inside the building is absolutely horrible, and although I had a off-camera flash trigger and I had my flash, I didn't have a modifier of any sort, like a softbox or an umbrella or anything like that. So I said, let's just go outside, see what we can find.
What colour are the walls?
They vary. But the problem with the walls is there's very little blank wall space. There's stuff stuck on every wall, So anyway,
what about the corners?
We found
the corners of the wall and the ceiling. Because that's your world's biggest umbrella. If you can fire your flash up into the corner of the wall,
the flash up into
up into the corner of the wall. So then you've got your three facets: the wall, the two walls, and the ceiling, and they're shaped like an umbrella.
Yep.
So you fire it up there, and the light comes back down, spreading like it comes out of an umbrella.
Yep. Didn't think of
that. So no. But this is what I'm mentioning, not because you needed to do it today, but for anyone who ever thinks, how do I get good light?
Yeah.
And by sheer chance, where was I? Yesterday, yesterday I was at my daughter's having bloods taken at a pathologist, and their room was narrow with all these white walls and this white ceiling, and I'm thinking, what a lovely softbox this is, mate. I was literally just thinking this exact thing. I'm going to fire the, because I was bored, fire the light there, and I was visualising this beautiful soft light that's coming down. So it's a great, again, if you ever need to film, say, kids at a kids party, you get, you've got to light up a room and with kids running around, you put one flash on a stand firing at one corner and one flash on the other stand firing at the other corner, and you basically, it fills the entire room with this beautiful white light. So you can stand anywhere and shoot.
One end wall into a softbox.
Well, you do diagonals, but both sides become this wall-sized softboxes, and the entire room is filled with light from every direction.
Yeah.
So you can walk anywhere and shoot. So as the kids run around, you can run around and just go bang, 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 and everything's perfectly lit.
Nice.
It's reasonably flat lighting, but with kids' parties, that's all you know. You're not looking for art.
Yeah.
But and you can do that with a function too. If you've got to walk around and just take photographs of people, just set up in the corner, bang, you're not firing flashes straight at someone's head, and it's a gorgeous way of doing lighting, and it's super simple.
Yeah, I'd never thought of shooting up into the corners. I've bounced light off walls lots.
But look behind you there at the moment where you were just pointing. You've got those doors.
In this corner,
that corner up there. Yeah, with the exception of, is that a black TV or something, or something? No, a black square thing behind your head.
Acoustic tiles on the wall.
Oh, of course, acoustic tiles. Yeah. So if it wasn't for those, firing up into that corner would be just the perfect modified light. It's a fabulous. And the whole thing about keep it simple, stupid. If you can go somewhere and use that rather than set something up, do that.
Yeah,
because it's quicker, it's easier. Nothing to people. It just makes life so much simpler for everybody. You know, and then move the person. You can then maybe juggle your angles on where they're standing in relation for where that light's coming from, to work with your shadows and create beautiful. It's a fabulous light source to use. It really is.
Yeah, right.
And that's it. Yeah.
I'll definitely have to give that a go.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. Sorry, so you couldn't find anything inside that was usable?
Yeah, so we went outside. It was a massively overcast, rainy day.
Typical.
But I walked around one side of the building, and we have we've got this veranda that basically comes out on all sides of the building. We've walked around one corner. And to my right, as I was looking at it, I had a steel fence with just vertical posts, like a pool fence. Mm-hmm. But as I was looking down the side of the veranda, we had this bush down the back end that was nice and green in the soft grey light of this overcast day. I had a couple of posts that were holding up the veranda that I had to try and minimise their impact on the shot as much as I could. There was a red rubbish bin that I couldn't move, so I had to try and get that out of the frame. All of these things that you're trying to think through and going, what's the best way to do this? So I ended up going, okay, you stand there, turn at that angle, and then, sort of...
What lens are you using?
So I had the 28-75, so I wanted to shoot at 75, and I had it at 2.8, and I ended up having to my left, up against the wall, was the air compressor for one of our air conditioning units. So I was sort of up over the top of that, trying because that was the only way I could get the angle so that I got the bin out of the shot on the left, and and it actually came out being a really nice natural light portrait because she was under the veranda. Actually, give me a sec. Just grab my camera, because my camera was still in my work bag, and I will pull out the memory card. Don't you love doing this in real time on a podcast?
It's the best.
What was I saying?
I don't think you finished. I think I should talk about the shot.
Just about the light under the veranda. So it basically gave you just a nice bit of contrast between the lit side of a face and the shadow side of a face.
A nuance of it,
Yeah, so I'm just trying to think, what's the best way for me to share an image with you on Skype? Can I just drop this into the Skype window?
You should be able to, I would have thought.
Does that come through?
It has, yeah, that's it. I'm just sending you an image as well from my PowerPoint presentation for my natural light workshop.
Nice.
That's lovely, dude. That's
Thank
lovely.
You. Like, given that it was completely unplanned, I didn't know I was going to shoot it until 2 minutes beforehand.
Dare I say, it's one of the nicest photos I've seen you take.
Okay, thank you.
No, seriously, it's all genuineness. It's gorgeous. Yeah, it's beautifully done.
Thank you.
Yeah, she should be stoked to have that.
She seemed like she was happy with it, so...
Well, she pretty well better be. That's a $500 shot right there if you were charging her.
I thought it came out really nice.
No, stunning, dude. I think you've done a brilliant job.
I mean, I would have loved for the poles not to be there, but if I'd had my 70...
That's why...
had my 70 to 200, absolutely. Yeah. I would have been able to put her further away, and, anyway, doesn't matter. You make the best of the situation.
Well, work with what you got. Yeah. I sent an image through to you. I'm not sure if it.
So I've got that. So what's
okay? This is why I talk about how to use lenses.
Yeah.
The ability to. So this is the case we're talking about. The ability of a 200mm lens to eliminate all the crap in a shot.
Yeah.
So the shot on the left is the scene, and the shot on the right is what we captured.
Yeah.
And it just shows you why we want to use more than an 85mm lens for a portrait. Why? I stress at people at workshops to bring along all their lenses. I mean, I shoot a 600mm often. With my 150 to 600 because it allows me to. It makes life easy because you can shoot absolutely anywhere with the right lens. Yeah. And it's just not understood well enough. So that's good. So but again, working with the constraints that you had, stunning image, right? Stunning, beautifully done.
Thank you.
And so here's the thing. So I do pick on your photos. You may have noticed. Yeah.
I do.
and tough love, as I always say, is still love. Yeah. But I equally, and I say this at every workshop, I will not say anything nice about your photos unless I genuinely mean it. So when I say that is one of the nicest photos I've ever seen you take, that's right up there with some of the best work you've ever done. Brilliant,
Thank you.
And considering the constraints you had to work under, the quality of lighting and the location, I think done amazing work. Yeah.
Thank you.
I would have been delighted to have taken that.
Oh, cool.
So, and you're working with the reflections in the glasses. The old angle of incidence, angle of reflection stuff is done really well. So you've got you've got that hint of reflection on the glasses, which I like in a photo because it shows me that they're real glasses. They're not just
it's
frames.
funny that you should bring this up because we walked back inside and I showed her the image on the back of the camera and she said, "Oh, that's great." And we got talking about glasses and she was saying that she'd had a portrait done at one stage where the photographer had taken a couple of frames with her and she always wears those glasses. Like she doesn't have multiple pairs of glasses. It's those glasses all the time.
That's the style of glasses.
And the photographer's gone, we're going to have to lose the glasses. And and it took the portrait without her wearing glasses, and she never really felt comfortable with it.
Of course, because that's not her.
She said, "I didn't even recognise myself." She said, "Because I'm always wearing my glasses."
That's the thing, and that's what, as a photographer, you have to learn to deal with that.
Exactly,
you can't just say, "Oh, look, I don't like the colour of your hair. Put this wig on." You're not going to do that. You might change their clothes.
Yeah.
Just to make them more but unless their clothing is indicative of who they are as a person. Yeah, but sometimes you might want to choose tones and stuff that work better for. But stuff like if they're 99.9% of the time having glasses on, you've got to find a way to shoot with those glasses on. Look at what you've done. You've done a brilliant job, and
make it work.
And it's not hard to do. To shoot
you just have to be
reflections.
mindful of those things, and I know in the past I've missed little things like that, and you get home and you think you've got the shot in the bag, and then you bring it in and you go, "Oh crap! There's this one little detail that I didn't notice." And it might be reflection on glasses, but it might be something else.
It might be the red rubbish bin in the background.
Red rubbish bin in the background, exactly.
But this shows your growth as a photographer, dude. All this picking on you that I've done over these years. Yeah, if you don't hear my voice nagging you in the back of your head when you're taking photos, but it shows that you're thinking more three-dimensionally in the photographs than you're not looking at the person you're taking your photograph of. You're thinking three-dimensionally in the shot, working out all the problems before you shoot and solving as many as are practical to solve. Not everything's solvable. Sometimes, hey, I've got to shoot with that sign in the background. I know I'm going to clone that out afterwards because 99.9% of the shot's perfect. That is what it is. It's nothing. They've got a pimple on today. I'll take that out for them because it's not a permanent. It's not a permanent spot on their face. So I'll remove that. I'll remove whatever it may be. There's going to be things in shoots that you have no control over. But your growth as a photographer is evident by your ability to start seeing in 3 dimensions. And as I always say, I always shoot from the back forwards. So I always, it's background first, then subject, and then me and my framing. But it's always background, where they stand within that background, where I stand in relation to them in that background, and I build it from the back forwards.
Can I put words in your mouth and suggest that you
can give it a shot?
That thinking would follow lens choice. Like obviously you would work out lens choice first, and then you would start assessing background.
No, because background determines lens choice.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so
you're
my first
assuming
thing I
you've
would
got
see
access
is,
to all of your lenses at the time.
which I always would. I would never not have all my... Yeah, exactly. So in your situation, you did exactly what I would have done in your situation as well. Yeah. You worked within the constraints of what you had. You gave it your best. You went to 75 as much as you could and dealt with the problems that were caused by that.
Yeah.
I never not have... I'm like a golfer. I'll have all the clubs in my bag. I'm not going to go playing golf with a putter.
Yeah,
you know, it's just not. But you weren't there to shoot. It's perfectly. You weren't there planning to go have a photo shoot. But I would never leave. I would never just carry to any sort of shoot. Not all my lenses. I'll always have a 150 to 600.
Yeah,
you know, for a portrait shoot. Yeah, even a group shot. Yeah, I'll have a 600 mm lens for a group shot if needs be. You know,
you might be in the next suburb, but
yeah, but it might be the only shot you can get.
Yeah,
and if you don't have it. You know, it's like if you're stuck in the sand and you don't have a sand wedge, I don't know much about golf. You can't get out without a sand wedge because that's the one with sand in the title. It's like same if you're on the pitch, you can't get on the green without using the pitching wedge. I'm not sure there's a pitch. I understand putters because it putters away from the hole when you hit the ball. That's it. I get that one. And I don't understand driver. It doesn't have a steering wheel. But yeah. So
if you've seen the way I hit a golf ball, they need a steering wheel.
Yeah. So to refocus, my point was I'll see the background.
Yeah.
Then I'll break that background down into segments. Okay, that's what it's like a 75 in my head. Not I can see it all in my head anyway.
Yeah.
There's my 200 mil spot. There's a 75 mil. There's a 400 mil. There's a 50. What feel do I want? And I can look at it all and go, okay, well that creates all these problems. That creates all these problems. That one, okay, it needs to be a 400 mil lens, or it needs to be a 200, or I can get away with 75. And look, if you can get away with shooting your 28 to 75. And everything works perfectly, that proximity to subject is always much easier to work with. You know? Yeah. Conversely, though, sometimes if you're 200 mil and standing back, that relaxes people sometimes too, because you're not right up in the grill. Yeah. So it's kind of a 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Shh! I just thought of something, Bruce.
Yeah.
This is the second podcast in a row we've given useful information. We had listeners last week turn off. Once we got through the chaff, they think smartly they turned off on the good stuff. Now we've started the podcast; they're not going to get past the introduction. So I should apologise to poor Carl Hemmings. You know, he's not going to know what's hit him. So anyway, back to your shot. So then the analness in me comes out.
Right.
Okay, I would clone out. On the right hand side between the two poles, there's a J-shaped bright tone.
Yep.
I would clone that out immediately.
It's a metal bar. Yep.
Yeah, and once again, this is saying if when I'm shooting, I will see that straight away. I say I have no choice. I cannot eliminate that. So I would clone that, and you watch. As soon as you clone that out, she's going to jump out the shot even more.
And you know what? Because all of that stuff is in soft bokeh, you could probably clone out that darker column. You could probably lose that whole column if you were careful.
You could, because it's even being out of focus, it's still very solid.
Yeah,
it's a solid.
But you've got
tone.
Plenty of greenery to work with that you could just subtly blend and.
But here's the thing again though, light versus dark. Okay, so because it's a dark tone. Yep. It doesn't pull your eye away from her because she's a light tone.
Yep.
So the human eye will look at light before dark.
Of course.
So it stays far more focused on it. And then it will shoot to that J-shaped pole.
Right. Yep.
Because it's light as well. And it will go straight past that. See, to me, I wouldn't... Having that foreground grey pole allows that background one to not be such a problem.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's a balance thing again. These two things sort of work together, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So that's not a major drag, and it makes sense. There's and you've got look on the left hand side of the shot. There's obviously grey poles there as well.
That's right.
So there's it makes sense to the eye to see them.
Yep.
Whereas that J shape pole, there's nothing else in the frame that looks that colour. That shape.
No, yeah.
There's nothing else in the photo that is that shape, and therefore it's light. So therefore it stands out.
Yeah.
And it will be so I was talking about in my workshops about pulls and pushes.
Right.
Now, what pulls the eye, what pushes the eye. So that out of focus green dark tone without that grey shape is a push, because there's nothing really in focus, and it's a dark tone that pushes the eye towards the light.
Right.
The brighter subject. The eye's gonna see the bright thing first, but because there's nothing, once you clone out that thing, there's nothing bright on that right-hand side, it's not going to drift. That's going to keep pushing the eye back to your subject.
Yep.
Conversely, the light on the left-hand side of her leads you to her, because so those columns are actually a diminishing line. So they actually draw your eye to her head as well.
Yep.
It's perfectly placed.
The
it's
line
not
of the guttering is like a leading line.
They're not. Yeah, exactly. They're not going off into some other direction away from her. They're going straight towards her.
Yep.
So it really draws the eye. And once again, it's bright, so your eye sees that first. So there's lots of things happening. We read photos left to right. Right, as we know.
Yep.
So you start with the right, you see that it's bright tone, and it draws you, and your eye then stops at the brightest thing it can see.
Yeah.
When the other columns there, that J-shaped things there, the downpipe, it keeps on going a bit.
Right.
You know, it's just that tiny variation. I'm just going to all this live thing that we're doing, Bruce. It's really
You can do an edit in real time.
No, I've already done it. I'm just about to send it to you. If I can figure out how to do it, can I just drag and drop? There we can.
You can drag it into the
Send.
chat on Skype.
There we go. So I've already deleted it whilst I was having that little chat with you, because like a female, I can multitask and see the difference.
Yep.
Big difference, isn't it? Straight, and it's subtle. It's not. Yeah, is it necessary to do? No, because she'll never see it.
No.
Yeah, anyone she shows it to will never see it.
No.
But who are we trying to please a lot of the time? We want to please the client, but we want to please ourselves too.
Yes.
And we know it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know it's something we could fix. We know it's something that could elevate the shot that extra 5%.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I totally get that you're on a time constraint and you couldn't spend 30 seconds to do it.
Mate, I hadn't even seen this on a screen until
of course it was
just
in your
now.
camera. Of course,
Because it was still in the
Good
camera.
point.
That was the only...
Good point. and then even more kudos to just beautiful exposure, beautiful sharpness. It's a cracking shot, dude. And
Thank you.
You should be genuinely pleased. There's a beautiful softness to it. Is that the Sony 28-75?
No.
I know. You have to.
That would...
I'm setting you up, dude. Doesn't it sound like it's me saying it all the time?
Oh, no, Glynn. This is
Isn't
a
it?
Tamron.
That's not the $3,000 Sony lens.
No, mate. This is the Tamron 28-75 2.8.
Crikey, that's a lovely lens, Bruce. Look at the photos you're
cracker of a
producing.
Yeah, no, it is. I love this lens. I really do.
Yeah.
And I had the same version in A mount, when I had my A850.
Yep, that's right.
The one thing I missed, though, was that the 28-75 I had for my A mount was macro at the long end, and this one's not.
Yeah.
I do kind of miss that every now and again.
Oh,
but
for sure. I mean, the more versatility you can add to a lens, the better.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So if you can have that in there, bloody marvellous.
still love it. It's still a great lens.
Well, and again, I mean, other than that tweak, that photo's finished. There's no Photoshop required.
No.
There's zero required. There's no stray. Look, there's not even a hairs. There's not even a flyaway hair there, Bruce.
Oh, she's meticulous with her hair. She is.
Yeah, but you're outdoors. You're
Yeah.
outdoors in a live shoot. Okay, there's a few on. Looking at it again, there's a few on the right hand side. On the
Camera
our
right,
right
yeah.
hand side, camera right.
Yeah.
That could, but it's very natural. Yeah, it's not
Exactly.
It's not blowing across her face or anything like that.
No.
But look at the it's stunning. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed. Yeah.
And now that I see it on a big screen, I am happy with it. Very happy.
You should be bloody chuffed, mate.
Yeah.
And the thing is, how many shots did you take?
Hang on. Let me go back to the card and back to that folder.
Because this is a really important lesson too.
No. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, hang on. These weren't all her. Hang on. Let me just have a quick squeeze through. 2 shots of her. 2
So
shots.
why do you think you could get such a great shot with only taking 2 clicks?
I think, as you said before, because I looked at the scene and tried to eliminate all the stuff that didn't work as best as I could, you know, given the limitations of the lens that I had with me and, you know, just what I had to work with.
Where the light was coming from or all that sort of stuff. So would I be... This is something I push at my workshops all the time. 5 minutes setup, 1 minute shooting. You know? So would you say you spent 5 minutes just fixing all those problems before you started shooting?
Yeah, but not even.
Roundabout.
You know,
roundabout. You know, once again, the more you do it...
A minute and a half,
depending on
I'd
the situation. Yeah, but and what, 10 seconds shooting?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Since 2005, Shutters Inc. has been a labour of love. But beyond the time required to produce it, there is also a financial commitment. If you find value in the podcast and would like to help keep the servers running, hit up the Patreon link, which is in the show notes. Even a couple of dollars a month will help. Much appreciated. Now, back to the podcast.
If you had to shoot 30 people that afternoon in that spot, you spend those few minutes to setting it up, and then it's just bang, 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 you know.
Yeah.
And the only reason you need to take multiple photos is if you're trying to get a little bit change of expression, if they blinked, fly went up their nose, whatever it may be, you know.
And you know what? That's you've just reminded me that's why I had to do a second shot, was because on the first shot her eyes were just partially closed.
Yep.
She blinked so as I took the shot.
Otherwise, you could have got away in one shot.
Yep.
Yeah. And so imagine if you're photographing the CEO of a company, he needs to get his shot done for the annual report or whatever. The last thing he wants to be doing is spending an hour with a bloody photographer to get a freaking photo for stuff I've got far too... And you can walk in there and go, bang, 2 shots done, thanks very much.
Yeah.
First up, he's going to freaking love you.
Yep.
And he's going to keep hiring you.
Yeah.
Because if you're a working photographer, they're having that skill to understand clients' time needs. Yeah. I was just reading. I didn't put it on the podcast. I was just reading a Petapixel article about this guy went and photographed some cars in Jay Leno's garage.
Nice.
Right. And some of the and that Jay was his personal assistant helping him do, because they were running overtime for stuff, and Jay ended up being the guy helping him organise everything, you know. And he says what would have normally been a 30-minute shoot turned into a couple of hours, and driving around the block with him and learning. And that's the thing, you know, if you're great at what you do, and you can get the job over and done with quickly, the relationships you can build, also your competence shines, you know, and allows lots of other stuff to happen. So you could have got that in one damn shot, mate, and you would not be able to do that 2 years ago.
No,
you would have taken 20 or 30 just to be sure. Yeah, it's why the Irish wear 2 condoms, to be sure. Yeah. It's also to make it feel bigger, but still, that's another story. But that's your confidence that you got that. Other than that shot where the only problem was her, you nailed it in one photo and didn't feel the need to have to do any more. And I'm quite sure she would have been shocked. Was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was she surprised it was done?
No, I think that the staff. I don't know. I think because I've done a bit of photography for the ABC at Newcastle now, they kind of know that I know what I'm doing with a camera.
Yeah.
So, the staff portraits, that are hanging in the foyer are shots that I did a couple of years ago, they all need to be redone now because half of them have now left.
Well, now you've got your perfect location now, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, but we probably wouldn't do outdoor shots for the staff. The on-air staff. We tend to do them in the studio.
Yeah, because you got to show the business.
That's it. But, so we'll probably be redoing those portraits in the next, probably in the next month.
Good stuff. No. Yeah. Well, I don't think we need to say anything else this podcast. No, this is again another. This is great when we have genuine stuff to talk about. I think it's fabulous. You know, most of the times there's not a lot of actual real learnings to be had. I mean, I'm always happy to share knowledge, but there's not always a lot of ability for what we look at to be able to do that. And having real experiences to talk about things is always far more interesting than somebody else's photo on the internet and why you don't like it or why you do like it. You know? Because that's all subjective. But the actual act of taking photographs is I think it's a fascinating study of how we do stuff. And your ability there shines, mate. Just out of curiosity, though, what colour was the wall outside there?
Cream.
Okay, so remember, you can bounce your flash off that. So don't ever hesitate to do outdoor bounce flash off walls.
Yeah, right.
Rather, especially I'll do this a lot on windy days. Rather than trying to set up a softbox and an umbrella outdoors, if I can bounce a flash off a wall instead.
Yep.
Absolutely, go for it. Yeah, because it's the same thing. Once again, for those who don't know, light takes on the colour it bounces off. So you don't want to, which is why you ask what colour was the walls, because if it's grey or cream or white or any really pale colour, it's generally okay. But anything that's too strong a tone can bounce that colour back out onto your subject. Which is why when you photograph people on grass, they've got that bloody green tinge under their chin, because green's one of the most reflective colours there is. So
I love the game of snooker.
Right. Yeah,
and one thing I notice, every time you see a photo of a snooker player, you see the green reflected off the felt onto the underneath of their chin and their neck. I sort of notice that every time I see.
Well, I always think about photography and snooker as very, very similar. In the angle of incidence equals angle of reflection. So when you're playing snooker, you need to be bouncing off a cushion at a particular angle for the ball to reflect at a particular angle to hit the ball you're aiming at.
That's it.
That's exactly the same we're just talking about with the light on her glasses. It's exactly the same thing. The angle that light comes in, it will bounce off. And if you're not standing in that line of that reflection, you're not going to see it.
Yep.
And if I'm bouncing light off a wall, off a ceiling, off a corner, angle of incidence, angle of reflection. So I'm always thinking snooker when I'm doing that sort of stuff.
Right.
Because there's a lot of connection to it. It's all about angles.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
Perfect bloody little thing to bring up there, Bruce. Fabulous. So, do you have any stuff we want to actually talk about, or we?
David Marlin sent us a story.
Did he?
From the ABC.
I saw that. I didn't bother opening it. But
Photographer Sammy Hawker is capturing Sydney Harbour in more ways than one. It looks like she's using a very large.
4:5 Graflex.
Yeah. She's previously encrusted film negatives in honeycomb, used caterpillar remains found in a trough to produce butterfly wing-like forms, and used analogue techniques to give a second life to human ashes. What?
That's a bit creepy, isn't it, eh?
Clearly, we need to read the whole story. Taken out of context.
Yeah. Well, I love this experimental stuff. Like some friends of mine up in Santa Barbara, used to do photo walks, film photo walks, and then go back to the store and they'd develop the film in coffee.
Ah, yes.
And do that, and that process was always fascinating. So, I love all this sort of experimental stuff, and all kudos to them for doing it. I just could never imagine. I just don't have that kind of brain where I'd ever want to do anything like that. It would completely do my head in. But I love the fact that there's people out there doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And whilst I'm not, I do have some vinyl records, but I'm not a vinyl junkie.
Right.
But I do understand the desire for film, the desire for vinyl records, that delay of gratification, that deliberateness of a lot of stuff that you get with those is pretty darn cool. I was talking to a North Melbourne football player that day who's he's just getting into film photography, and he said, and he loves his vinyl too, and I said, and he's a young guy, he's like 23, 24, whatever, and I said, and I've always had this theory, it's about delayed gratification, and I said to him, so, well, your entire life you've had everything you want instantly, digitally, do you love film because of the delay? And he sat and thought about it for me, and he goes, yeah, that's it. Yeah. That anticipation he's never experienced in his life, having to wait for something. And that's such a powerful motivator for him, and I thought it was great. It's so same with this sort of stuff. Working with 4 or 5 films, or some of it 6, 7, 6, 6. I look at some of the photos, and then using these other chemicals and using other substances to create. Yeah, and you think if you use something that creates a mark or a stain or a something on the negative, and therefore on the print, it is a genuinely unique image. I mean, are all images unique? I'm just trying to think. All images capture a single moment in time anyway, so they're technically unique. Even if there's 10 people shooting alongside do the same thing, 10 people shooting Sydney at sunset. Yeah.
But they're all at a slightly different angle.
Ever slightly different, yeah. So they're all unique, but there's a fairly strong similarity between those moments. whereas what she's doing, it's really a more solitary. It stands alone a lot easier, I guess, is probably what I'm trying to think to say. So
it's artisan, Glynn. That's what it is. It's artisan.
Yeah,
it's artisanal.
It's artisanal, like those artisan lenses you can buy and stuff. Just before we came on air, my wife was talking to me about some woman she's been following for years and years. Put up a photo up on Instagram, and normally when it's something that's a bit disturbing or shocking, it has a blur over it, and you have to choose. And she's just flicking through her feed, and there's this horrific image. I'm not even going to go into details of what it was, but it's effing disturbing.
Right.
To do with war.
Right.
Image. Completely unfiltered.
Wow.
And all these people just going, and shocked as I was about that this could be so readily seen, and the woman defending it being, oh, well, what are you doing to try and stop this stuff happening in the world? But my mind instantly went to, well, how do we even know it's real?
Yeah.
I've just come off looking at a video of photos of an old lady who crocheting outfits for cats. Right. And they're all AI images.
Yeah.
They look real, but they're all AI.
Yeah.
And so I just come off looking at that. Then she tells me this story. I'm going, well, how do we even know it's real?
Yeah.
So automatically we doubt it, and I start to doubt anything I see. But then, just as I went on to look for some stuff for tonight, that the White House is looking at cryptographically embedding all the videos of everybody who basically put out anything official from the White House, so it can be proven that if it's an AI deep fake or if it's real.
Yeah, right.
And this is I'm thinking, and so my mind went back to this photo of this woman had put up, and then the crochet cats. Where are we going to go?
That's the world we're heading into, isn't it?
Yeah, where everything needs to be very. It's not not just. As an idea, just we usually put a black light over something to see if you can see fingerprints or stains on stuff. We might have to something like that with photos, or we better shine something in a filter on our screen to tell us if it's real or not. So straight away, my brain always goes to, can you make money out of this? And I thought, well, there's a business model for somebody who's a verification program to check for watermarks embedded inside the starter.
I wonder if there's a potential link to blockchain technology and all of that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because the whole proof of work thing, like,
so
I
she
don't
released everything as an NFT.
Yes.
But we were talking, because we've been watching over the last couple of years, we've talked on this podcast about how AI is changing stuff, and it's getting to the point where, well, now we need to start knowing with a lot more confidence, because the world's nutty enough as it is, when people don't believe stuff that's right in front of their eyes. And I've been having a few little online debates with people on YouTube this week about a video I watch that clearly is not done in one take, that's clearly multiple takes, because the lav mic in this particular video appears and disappears during thing, and the guy's part of his outfit changes length during, so it's obviously between cuts, obviously more than one, but these people cultishly believe that it's one, and you can't talk them out. You can tell them to look at the evidence, but even with their own eyes, that something's visually obvious to be seen, they can't see it. So we're getting to a point where we need some serious verification of anything that's actually important. Exactly. And if your president comes out or your prime minister comes out and says something fairly shocking, how do we know it's actually being told? And that works with things like pandemics and stuff like that, when people could spread who knows what malicious concepts out there. So crazy world of a whole, but again, big business for somebody, some money to be made.
And just today, you sent me a link to the interview with
the Charismatic Voice
interviewing Ren after she had watched High Ren, and said that it was just one of the most amazing videos she'd ever seen. And in his conversation, in that 10 or 15 minutes of the 2.5 hours that I watched, he talked about how, because she was asking him about, how do you mic this stuff? How do you get such an amazing sound? And he goes into all this great detail. But he was talking about the videos that they shot of them busking out on the street, and how he had, some guy who claimed to be a record producer going, there's no way this was done in one take, or that it was live or whatever.
It's a studio recording that you're miming over. and sometimes if you're presented with something that's so good,
yeah,
be it an image, like your image. Again, let's go back to your photo you took today.
Right.
That is so good standalone that people will not believe that it's not edited.
Yeah,
I mean, and it's a simple, it's a simple, beautifully lit, it's just normal portrait, but it was so used to layers of fakery added to anything.
Yeah.
That when you say someone that's as shot as opposed like a one take, that's an as shot, people go, nah, you've done something to it.
yeah.
Well, I have because I took that pole out. but that's the thing. Sometimes we're presented with something that's so good we can't believe it's real.
Yeah.
And that's because we're surrounded by so much fakery that it doesn't make life easy for us anymore. You know. Funny stuff. I've got a couple of little extra things. When this Olympus lens, who cares? But here's the thing: Amazon are paying people to use their photo storage, their unlimited photo storage.
What?
So if you're an Amazon Prime member and you don't use their photo storage, they'll pay you $20 in Amazon credit to start using their service. So there's a link there if anyone wants to, and it's free and it's unlimited.
Okay, can you flick that link through to me?
It's in the chat notes there, dude.
Cool.
It's get paid to save your photos. There's an article there for anyone's interested. Once again, talk about AI. It's a company coming out with a new online AI photo editor called Polar with 2 R's, as you do. But it's a trainable AI to train into your style of shooting. So if you're like a wedding photographer and you've got the majority of your shots have a certain style, it will learn as you edit with it, and it'll allow batch processing an awful lot easier. So interesting. It may work, it may not work, but it's going to be interesting to see how that develops. Pardon the pun. As AI gets smarter, and you can personalise it to your own style of shooting. It's great for event photographers, as I'm sure. 2 last little things.
Yeah.
I saw this guy, Mini Mal, I call him,
Right.
because he shoots everything minimal. It's
okay.
Mini Mal, but he shoots the Times Square in New York. Mm. And he's one of those people who photographs just a little fraction, little points of interest rather than trying to capture the whole thing. And he's just got some beautiful work of seeing the world in a different way.
Yeah.
And he reminded me a little bit of Mike Holman, our mate from New Zealand, who's just a phenomenal photographer, and seeing architectural stuff in ways that not everybody does. And this guy's breaks it down into even smaller parcels. Yeah. And there's a guy here from Melbourne called Steve Scalone, Scalone, who also does some great this architectural minimalist stuff, which is certainly worthwhile looking at.
Okay.
So I just thought those photos are really good. And again, for people who go now, I don't know what to take photos of. Well, look smaller. And I think we were talking about this from your landscape tour about shooting with 200mm rather than 35mm or 24mm, or how the world of landscape changes at 200 or 300mm focal length.
Yep.
And this is the same thing. How a cityscape can change when you break it down to its little points. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
So that really opens up places you've been to an awful lot and you're kind of looking for inspiration to shoot. I think it opens up a whole lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Well, on my tours, I often do stuff like every day I want you to take the photograph. So on day 1, you need to take a photograph of the number 1.
Right.
On day 2, you've got to take a photograph of the number 2. Somewhere in your day, I want you to capture an interesting photo of something that shows that number. And it's just it's a fun way to keep everyone engaged shooting a similar thing. But it shows, well, if you're ever putting an album together, you've got photos from day 1, day 2, day 2. You've got those images to kind of lead it off as well. I was fine.
But it also forces you to look for things outside of your normal photographic comfort zone.
Absolutely, and I do the same with textures. So look for cracked walls, flaky paints. Capture. Don't just be looking for the big.
I photograph textures everywhere I go. When we went around Europe, I was photographing textures of rock walls and sandstone and crap like that.
It's a very cool thing to do. And it said it sometimes breaking your concentrated vision to shoot something different opens up lots of other stuff. Because we get so blinkered when we're out shooting, looking for the thing we want to shoot, that we miss the things that are there to shoot. The thing, and this is especially true with travel photography, where you've seen all these photos of this place that you're going to, and you're trying to, in some ways, recreate what you've seen. Yeah, so you're looking for the thing. You're looking for that angle, that viewpoint that you've seen, because that's what resonated with you.
Yeah.
But to get to that point, you've walked past 20 great things that you could have captured that were uniquely your vision of that time and that experience. So, breaking yourself out of that. And the Taj Mahal is a classic example of India. Everyone runs to try and get the photo of the reflecting pool.
Right.
Yeah. And sure, it's like most things, you've got to have that shot. But what else are you going to shoot? How else can you see it differently? And forcing yourself to see, and like this guy with his New York shots, seeing a well-known place completely differently is really quite interesting. So the last thing I had was this guy who's using his drone with a thermal imager to find lost pets.
Oh, wow.
So someone loses their dog. And it's kind of cool. But what made me think of it, to put it on the podcast, was we talk about how many jobs get lost when how technology takes away certain aspects of any business. But all of a sudden, can you find ways with this new technology to create something that never existed before? And there's a guy who's connected thermal cameras and drones.
A girl.
So is it the girls? Okay.
Erica Hart.
I don't know. I don't look at the articles. I just saw the headline. So it comes up with this idea of putting these two things together and creating something that never existed before.
Yep.
And makes a living. There's so many opportunities when we look at things in different ways. Yep. There doesn't have to be, like I said before, with that cryptographic embedding or be able to verify the things you're looking at. There's got to be money there to be made. There's all these new things that come out. These new challenges create new opportunities.
Exactly.
So that's all my waffling for today.
Mate, it's been a good chat.
Well, I'm sorry. What are we doing to these people? We can't set this bar so high, or the barrel. You have to jump into it and over it so high every week.
That's it.
But it has been. I've really enjoyed it. I love your image, as I said, in all genuineness. And go out and clone that pole out properly.
Yep.
And but I would leave the other ones.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. To me, it doesn't. I just think because this might be the way my brain works. It's always thinking of stuff, and it's often contrary to itself.
Right.
I'm kind of in my head, as I'm not actually looking at the image, I'm just visualising it in my head, that I like those two poles there because they're creating a frame for her to live in, a box for her to live in inside that softness.
Yep.
So I think it actually adds, those poles actually add something. Yeah. And then we love repeating elements in photographs. So with on the left-hand side, whilst they're brighter and out of focus, we can see there's columns there.
Yeah.
And then this is a repeating pattern of columns on the right-hand side as well. So it adds balance to the shot.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's... Yeah, as well as the tonal things we're talking about.
And I actually retract my earlier comment. I think cloning out the second column on the right, the one that's further back and darker, would actually unbalance the frame.
Oh, yeah, you'd have to get rid of both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could. To my eye, you couldn't get rid of one without the other,
right?
Because it would then unbalance the image again. But I said I really feel it does give her a frame to live in.
Yeah,
and I think that adds that extra element. And once again, this is how my brain works. They're vertical elements. She's a vertical element.
Yeah.
You know, so if those were horizontal lines going down, maybe it would be a very different feel, and maybe we wouldn't like them so much.
Yeah.
But because you've got horizontal elements on the left-hand side, she's a horizontal element, and that's horizontal.
You mean vertical elements?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. Hear what I'm thinking, not what I'm saying. Yeah. So it all works. They all work in cohesion together to make the image stronger.
Nice.
This is a simple photo, but we could talk about this photo for hours. Yeah,
well, you could.
But this is a great. Well, I could because. Yeah, but isn't this what's great about photography though? There is so much in a simple shot that we can analyse to make us better photographers.
Yep.
If we can think to look beyond. Oh, she looks nice.
Yeah.
And it's not. Yeah. And there's so many elements. We haven't even discussed her looks at all, really, other than stray hair. But we discussed all the elements
thereof.
Yeah. No, she's a good-looking girl.
Oh, she's lovely.
From memory. Yeah, but I think there's so many elements, and even just a simple portrait that we can take so many lessons from to make us better photographers. Yeah, and having now done that shot, it strengthens the next time you have to do a shot like that.
Yeah.
Because you've got that bank of experience, that bank of knowledge. And when we talk about stuff like this, and this is why it's good to analyse your own photos as well as other people's, you're building that bank of memories inside your head about what to avoid, what to include, why that element works, why that element doesn't work, why should I include it, why should I exclude it.
Yeah.
It's all stuff that builds our ability to shoot.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, good stuff.
Awesome, mate. All right. Well, you got anything exciting planned for the next 2 weeks?
Well, I was going to go away fishing for a weekend with my mates.
Right.
Yeah, fly fishing for a couple of days, but my bloody wife's got to go to Bali for a conference all of a sudden. So there's a kibosh on that. So no, but I'll be heading down to the footy again. They've got the proper games starting, practice games next. So go photograph a little bit of that.
Nice.
And just bedding the kids down into school for the new year. It's with my eldest, a few struggles with the autism and new teachers, new classrooms. And he's at 3 different. He's got to start working 1 day a week as part of his school.
Right.
So he had to try and find a job, and then he's got to get his brain around working in a new environment.
Right.
And then he has to go to a different school for 1 class a week. So it's learning, and that's with kids from schools from all over the place.
Yep.
So it's learning that environment, new teachers. So it's been a bit of a troublesome start to the year as far as just getting everything settled down and not the panic station sort of stuff. So I'm imagining that's probably going to go on for a couple more weeks. So that'll be my lot. Whilst my wife's spawning off in Bali. All good.
Awesome.
And yourself, any shoots planned? Any more impromptu shoots that you don't know about?
Well, if I knew, I wouldn't not know, would I?
That's a funny thing.
Anyway.
Good stuff. Well,
Cool.
Lovely talking to you, mate.
You too, mate.
It's been a delight. And we'll talk in a couple of weeks.
See ya. Bye.
Toodles, everyone.
You've been listening to Shutters Inc. For questions, comments, and feedback, email theboys@shuttersincpodcast.com.